Hi guys, today we're going to be reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. Remember, this is the front cover, this is the spine, and this is the back cover. All right, you guys, The Lorax. It's the title page. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes and a muffled moof. And a special dank midnights in August he peeks out the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. And then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snuff, his secret strange hole in his grufflest glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Slup! Down slups the whisper-ma-phone to his ear, and the old onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted away and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place. And I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees, I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. Come from the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew what I must do, and I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. With a grateful skill and with a speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I made a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gallup. I looked and I saw something pop out of a stump. Of a tree I'd chopped down, it was sort of a man. Describe him, that's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and quite bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax, and I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? He is upset. Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I dropped down just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you're crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy the full thneed. But the very next minute I proved I was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up if you please. I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radiophone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers, my uncles, my aunts, and said, Listen here! Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all in the factory I built, the old Onceler family was working full tilt. We were knitting and thneeds as busy as bees, and the sound of the tropping of truffula trees. Then, oh by oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 2 or 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as both, and the Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week I heard a knock on my door. He snapped, I am the Lorax, and I speak for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade of the barbaloot suits, happily living and eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking, my friends, my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. Stop. Hey, guys, stop. Truffula trees, thank you. They've only loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad, but as I watched them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I mostly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, and I biggered the loads. Of the thneeds I had shipped out, I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling those thneeds, and biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again, he came back. I was fixing some pipes when the old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax! He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled and he snarled and he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a glufferous croak. Onceler, you're making such smoggitous smoke. My poor swanny swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough, They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. There might have a fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you have smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up. Let me say a few words about gluppity-glup. Your machine chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, also sluppity-slup. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler, you. You're glupping the pond where the hummingbirds hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off, and their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at that Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yappity yap and bad, 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 bad. Well, I have rights too, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring and biggering and biggering and biggering. More truffle-a-tra trees into thnees, which everyone needs. And on that very moment, he heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe of a tree, that we heard the tree fall, that very last truffle-a-tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in no time at all, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved goodbye. They jumped in their cars and they drove away under the smoke-smothered skies. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was a big empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hastened himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all the Lorax left here in his mess was a small pile of rocks and the word unless. Whatever that meant, well, I couldn't guess. That was a long, long ago, but each day since that day I've sat here and worried away. Through the years where my buildings had fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, said the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and the truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. Wow, guys. The end. What a great story. What do you think you guys learned from this? I learned that it's our job to save the environment. So we need to plant trees, we need to use less plastic products, we need to recycle, and we need to turn off the water when we're done using it. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Bye.